how to celebrate Saturnalia like a Roman. In this video, I'm going to look at Saturnalia, one of the most important Roman festivals, and how you, if you would like to celebrate it, should celebrate it to be very authentic. So first of all, what is Saturnalia? Well, it was celebrated on the 17th of December. It was to do with harvest and farming because the god Saturn was to do with harvest, sort of the middle of the winter, to say that you're grateful for all the things you have from the harvest last year and what you're looking forward to for the next year. It's all centered around a public sacrifice. So on the 17th of December, there'd be a big public sacrifice, a big public celebration by sacrificing an animal, or many animals actually, and then having a big communal feast. So you sacrifice the animal, you give some of the best parts to the god, and by best parts, it's usually the thigh meat, which is wrapped in some of the skin and put on the fire to burn for the god Saturn. And then everything else of the animal is cooked, and there's a huge big feast for the Romans. Feast days like this is one of the times when Romans would get meat, especially poor Romans, so people loved Saturnalia. Now, I say it was celebrated on the 17th of December, but actually over the years, the days expanded. So to begin with, it was on the 17th, then it was the 17th, and the 18th would be when the feast would be. It would be like sort of carried over to the next day as well. Then it was the 19th of December. You'd have sort of lots of different celebrations and things that would go on throughout the 3 days. And eventually it became the 23rd of December was the final day. So 7 days from the 17th to the 23rd, all of celebrating and having a fantastic time. So this was a really, really popular celebration, which is why the days kept getting longer and longer. Now, how would you celebrate it? You expect to give and receive gifts. Mostly joke gifts, actually, in Saturnalia. It's to do with lightening the spirit. The whole event, really, is to do with having a good time and joking around. So you'd maybe give people gag gifts, kerii candles, which are little votive candles that you can use to almost banish the darkness, I suppose is a good way to put it. So you light lots of votive candles when you're making prayers to the gods. And also sigillaria figurines, which are little votive figurines that you can put as offerings to the gods again. There are joke gifts, but there are also religious sort of gifts as well. You also need to look the part if you're going to celebrate Saturnalia. So first of all, you have to decorate your house, and that's with evergreen bushes and branches, especially if you can get any with berries on. These show that there is new life coming. So this is to do with the harvest and farming. You want to show that your crops will grow in the future. You also have to wear something called synthesis. So this is not the usual, quite formal toga. This is very bright clothes, almost garishly bright. Think of really terribly patterned Christmas jumpers and you're kind of getting the idea. Really bright tunics, cloaks, togas, whatever you can wear. As well as the synthesis, you also want to wear pillae, which are conical hats, like this. So again, kind of like the precursor to a party hat, you wear conical hats to show that you are in the joking spirit for Saturnalia. How do you pass the time on Saturnalia? It's 7 long days and a lot of things don't happen, so there's no business going on in the forum and things like that. If you're in a shop, you probably are still open, at least for parts of the day. But to pass the time, well, you might go sing in the streets, kind of like modern caroling, Christmas caroling. You would go and sing loud songs, jokey songs, sometimes quite rude songs in the streets. So it's not a time to try and get good sleep in at nighttime because people will be walking up and down singing raucously. You visit family and friends. This when you give them their gifts. You would expect people to be coming in and out of your house kind of all day for this week, really. And really importantly, you would swap roles. So this was part of the whole kind of jokey atmosphere of Saturnalia. Masters of a house would swap roles with their slaves. So the slaves would sit at the master's table. They would be waited on by the master and his family. And they would, wear fancy clothes and they would be given gifts by their masters often. So they would swap roles and they would have the chance to almost like order their masters around. Now, having said that, they would still be required to like cook the food for the feasts. And clean the house and things, but almost it was so ridiculous to the master, the Roman people and their families, that this was all a big joke to them that they were going to serve their slaves. And they would also gamble. They would play dice, they would bet on races. They would do all sorts of, they have huge amounts of gambling. And even children would get involved. They would love this. Whether you gamble with money or whether you gamble with little cakes or with counters, it doesn't matter. At this point, they loved gambling. Often gambling was banned in Rome and in Roman culture. It kind of went in and out of fashion, gambling. Some leaders and emperors liked it, some didn't. But on Saturnalia, even when it was banned, you were actually allowed to gamble, so they loved doing it. So why then is Christmas on the 25th of December? A lot of people say, oh, Christmas is taking Saturnalia. That's actually not right. Christmas comes on the 25th of December because of another Roman holiday, which was popularized by the Emperor Aurelian in 274. This was the celebration of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. This is because in the Roman calendar, the longest night of the year fell on the 25th of December. So this is like their solstice. And when Christian leaders were trying to make this new celebration of Christmas, the birth of Christ, more popular, I guess, they picked a date that people already celebrated on. This seemed like a good one, the unconquered sun. It has the idea of new birth and rising out of the longest night of the year. So they picked this day. In the Bible, there are references to the birth of Christ being kind of in spring because there are lambs. And so they've moved it to a Roman holiday in order to make it more acceptable. If you put your holiday on a day where people are already celebrating, they're more likely to want to keep celebrating that holiday. So Christmas is not Saturnalia, but it was falling at around the same time. If you do want to celebrate, then you should shout to all your friends, "Yo, Saturnalia!" which means like kind of like hooray, it's Saturnalia, or like happy Saturnalia. So rather than saying Merry Christmas, maybe this year you say Yo Saturnalia. If you want to learn some more Latin phrases such as Yo Saturnalia, maybe some that are a bit more helpful to learning Latin as a language, then go and download my free workshop to learn Latin in just 1 hour. You get all my free guides, and it's a video on-demand training that you will get sent straight to your inbox if you sign up in the link below. No matter what you are celebrating this season, whether it is Saturnalia or anything else, I hope you have a wonderful time. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time on Bambasbat.